Welcome back to Chaos and Caffeine, the podcast where we embrace the beautiful messiness of parenting neurodivergent children. I'm your host, Danielle, and today I am beyond thrilled to introduce a guest who has not only inspired me, but has also become a beacon of hope and empowerment in the autism community. Joining us today is the remarkable Martin Slyngstad, a young man whose journey through the challenges of autism has transformed into a mission of advocacy and acceptance. Diagnosed at the age of 5, Martin faced bullying and a lack of understanding, but he refused to let these obstacles define him. Instead, he channeled his experiences into creating change. Martin is the founder of Spire Autism, an organization dedicated to promoting autism awareness and support. His efforts led to the city of San Jose officially recognizing April as Autism Acceptance Month, a testament to his relentless advocacy. But Martin's accomplishments don't stop there. He's also the co-author of Chatterbox, My Life with Autism, a heartfelt book he penned with his mother, offering insights into their shared journey. He's also a Special Olympics gold medalist, a behavior specialist, and is currently pursuing a degree in speech pathology. Martin's story is a powerful reminder that our neurodivergent kiddos have a limitless potential when given the support and understanding they deserve. His resilience and dedication are not only inspiring, but also provide invaluable insights for parents navigating similar paths. So, grab your coffee or reheat it for the third time, take a deep breath, and join me in welcoming Martin to Chaos and Caffeine. Let's dive into a conversation that promises to enlighten, encourage, and empower. Martin, welcome to Chaos and Caffeine.
Thank you for having me on. Great to be here.
Perfect. And I know it's very early where you are, and you've already told me off audio, but I need to know what is in your cup.
It's just water for now with a little bit of hydration. I forget the name of that. My brain's still trying to wake up here. It's
The
little
electrolytes?
liquid IV. There we go.
Ooh,
Liquid IV.
that'll be good to get you started this morning.
Oh yeah. Especially with classes going on until 3 o'clock today and then work until 6 o'clock tonight.
Phew, that's a long
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So I know you said that you feel like you are undiagnosed ADHD. Would you like to tell
Mhm.
me why you think that? And then we'll go over maybe some overlap.
Yeah, I feel like I am undiagnosed ADHD because most of the days I have a hard time focusing, and sometimes when people talk to me, I tend to lose focus sometimes, and I've caught myself kind of wandering around. I don't know a good way to explain that, but like when people are talking, I kind of notice that I'm looking either somewhere else or my brain kind of focuses on something when somebody's talking to me or even in class, which gets super frustrating. And then I'm just like, wait, what was it that they brought up?
Hmm.
And it's like, oh man, especially when it's studying for those exams.
Yeah. And then you come back to and you're like, wait a minute, that was important. I should have been listening.
Exactly. Exactly. That actually happened a couple times recently. So it's like, yeah. But it's so interesting how autism and ADHD are connected. And it's like I'm really wanting to learn more science about it just to see, like, hey, maybe I am, and I should at some point get a diagnosis on it. And because I don't want to like self-diagnose just in case it's not really that. And so it's like, might as well be sure.
Yeah. The right diagnosis, I feel like, is so important. So kudos to you for not running with the self-diagnosis like so many of us, myself included, are doing.
Mhm.
So these stats may be converted. You let me know.
Mhm.
I believe it is 20% of children or adults with ADHD also have autistic traits, but it's much higher on the, I think it's 40 to 60 percent of children with autism also have ADHD. That may be
Hmm.
reversed, but I think those were the last statistics that I read.
Right. Yeah. No, they are. And it's interesting because, more people now are getting diagnosed these days. And, there may be even more than we realize. And it's like here in California, I'll just give an example of the autism rate. It's 1 in 22. In the US, it's 1 in 36. And with that, I feel like most of these people getting diagnosed are only focusing on one aspect and not like everything else. So there could be more than those statistics for people with both ADHD and autism.
Do you think that is because California has better medical professionals, or do you think the rest of the country is just underdiagnosed?
I feel like it is underdiagnosed, and there's also that fact that some are misdiagnosed as well,
Hmm.
which it's definitely a difficult subject to talk about sometimes, like misdiagnosis and that it's talking about everything that in regards to misdiagnosis is difficult because it can be controversial. And I try to stay away from that, but I feel like at some point it needs to be talked about because there's been a few instances where I've even talked with people that I know for a fact they do have ADHD, but when they got the diagnosis, it was something completely different. And it's frustrating, but I really, really wish that there would be more fairness with the process and more truthfulness and not like or like have the people who do the diagnosing like take the time instead of like doing it so quickly and have the more accurate percentage of them because it, it see this my brain is like trying to find the right answer so it's not so um
Not so controversial.
yeah
Yeah.
it should be more fair because sometimes in some places there's a misdiagnosis because they just want to get it over with real quick.
Mhm.
With yeah. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
When you said that they only focus on one thing, you mean,
Mhm.
say, someone goes in because they can't focus, and so
Right,
maybe the medical professional runs with that. Oh, that's a characteristic
right,
of ADHD, and they don't do any
right,
further digging.
right. Exactly.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah,
I could see that.
yeah. And it's because the whole diagnosis process takes a long time. Like for me, when I was diagnosed with autism, it took about 4 to 6 weeks
Mm,
just to get the diagnosis because they ran through multiple things, and I could see why some only focus on the signs that are more prominent.
yeah. Do you mind to share what it looked like for you when you did get diagnosed?
Yes. And my brain is very, very good with memory. Um, while I was going through the diagnosis, I was just actually starting to say my first words because I was nonverbal the first 4 years of my life. And at first, I really was a little confused. There were so many tests they had to run. They did like math and reading and stuff. And the one that really annoyed me the most was they'd say a little keyword. So let's just say the word was table. And then they start talking to you. And then after 5 or 10 minutes, you're like, okay, what was the word that we said at the beginning?
Mm,
Yeah. So that was hard because I sometimes when I do talk, sometimes I tend to forget what they were saying because it's like my brain is like going every direction really. And the tough part for that was after my diagnosis, I really didn't accept myself. I
Mhm.
didn't really accept my diagnosis because I didn't want to be different than others. And so it wasn't until I wrote my book with my mom, Chatterbox, that I started accepting who I was. And it took like 10, 15 years. And after people were giving me amazing feedback, saying like it really helps them understand their child better and how people can relate to it, it kind of like really made me think, wow, this is only supposed to be journal entry, honestly, but just to turn it into book was really incredible.
It does sound incredible. It's wonderful that you were able to help parents understand their kiddos. So, along those lines, I think you were very fortunate, even if you didn't accept it, that you were diagnosed pretty early because a lot of
Mhm.
people go years without that diagnosis. So, how do you
Right.
feel about getting diagnosed earlier now that you have accepted it?
It's nice in a way, but then again, there's still some things that I still don't understand, like which is why I said earlier where I could be undiagnosed ADHD because I've did research, of course, and I've did everything, and I know there's signs that are similar, but it's like hard to get that because it costs so much now just to get a diagnosis. And it's like I feel like if it was more affordable, maybe I would, but it's like that's why some of these like in today's society, it gets hard to get a diagnosis because of the price for that, for the whole process. And it's like, and another part of me is thinking maybe they don't want to get that diagnosis yet because they're not ready.
Mhm.
Or even like Anthony Hopkins, he wasn't diagnosed until the actor, he wasn't diagnosed with autism until his late 80s, and he didn't know why he couldn't have a good relationship with his daughter until he finally got the diagnosis.
Mhm.
So this whole time growing up through his life, he didn't understand until I think it was 3 or 4 years ago when he got the official diagnosis.
So maybe there's some pros and cons on both sides. Like for
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins, not knowing maybe have been blissful in some ways
Mhm.
because you didn't know and you didn't have the stigma. And then,
Right.
but there was a huge con where he wasn't able to maintain relationships.
With his family. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I know you said you have done a little digging. Do you
Mhm.
mind to share what traits you might have that you think overlap there?
Yes. And I have it in my notes somewhere. I actually while I look for this, where did it go? When my phone decides to give me trouble like right at the worst time, other than losing focus and not remembering what people tell me, but I also um talk a lot and sometimes I can't sit still. I don't know if that's or like impatience is a sign of ADHD, but I'm also like tend to daydream a lot. I'm just like sitting there, somebody's talking to me, but because my brain kind of tones them out, it gets hard to remember what they're talking about. And it's like it, it's it gets a little difficult just to think about because it's like I've had some friendships end in the past because they got a little frustrated with me, getting distracted and everything, and it gets tough.
Mm.
And I, at some point, people that I talk with, I mean, I have to let them know ahead of time, like, hey, for me, I have difficulty making eye contact, and sometimes I tend to lose focus. I think that if I start saying that ahead of time, maybe I'd start connecting with others more.
That's some pretty good
Yeah.
awareness that you have that, though.
Yeah.
Is this kind of what it's like? This is what it's like for my son. I'm just curious if they're similar. Say I'm telling him a story, and then his little ADHD brain goes down a trail of whatever I may have said first. And then by the
Hmm.
time we're finished talking, he is way over here on another topic and he's missed
Hmm.
everything that I've said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that too.
And I think that I would say one other thing, and I don't know if this could be a trait of ADHD, but I lose so many things
Yeah.
and forgetting like where I put them.
Definitely possible ADHD symptom.
Yeah.
So I know you've mentioned a couple there, but what are some other subtle signs that parents may overlook that may be autistic characteristics?
Some signs that could be overlooked. There's this one thing that a lot of autistics do, and it's called stimming. And what that is, it's repetitive movements that helps keep our brains stimulated. So it's like some signs could be rocking back and forth or like jumping up and down, pacing a lot. But the reason why we do that is because we sit still, our brains get so overwhelmed, which
Mm,
could cause those meltdowns because our brain just doesn't know what to do, which is why a lot of us do the stimming. And for any parent who has had a meltdown from their child, and I every time I'm at a speaking engagement, I always forget to say this, but we don't mean to have these meltdowns. We just have difficulty conveying what our brain is trying to process.
mm,
Like we think of one thing, but we have a tough time saying it or telling them what's wrong. And because of that, our brain gets frustrated to the point where we have these meltdowns and we really don't mean it.
mm. And is that from too many things flowing in the brain or not knowing how to process it or all
It's
of the
both,
above? Yeah.
all of the above. Yeah. And it's like, and I get it. It's hard. And I know it can be difficult for the parents, but it's like, everything is going to be okay. And I do my best to help support parents. I do my best to help support my community. And it's like, which is why I really am hoping at some point in the future to do this ADHD diagnosis just so I could finally confirm, like, hey, this was also a sign, but I didn't realize it when I first got diagnosed. So it kind of like maybe the signs kind of started appearing a little later in life.
Mm. I know you said that you help parents, and
Hmm.
I'm dying to know how do you
Hmm.
feel like parents could best support their kiddos?
Um, I would say the best way is to complete tasks or something at their own time. And it's like if there's things that we are tasked with and we have to do it quickly, it does not help the brain at all.
Mm,
And sometimes, like for me, it takes some time for me to do a task, whether that be make a bed or like even packing for a trip. Because if I do that too quickly, then my brain gets so overwhelmed and frustrated. It's like just gotta try to take it down a notch a little bit, but it's sometimes it can be difficult because the brain gets so overwhelmed and even sometimes stimming won't be able to help with that.
mm. So give them more time to complete
Hmm.
tasks. I needed that
Right.
reminder today, Martin. I am very
Mm.
impatient. Anything else that we could do to be more supportive?
Um, like if we need our own space if we get really frustrated, um, wait, it was so good. I just had it in my head. My brain decided to say, nope, you're not gonna forget. Um, actually, since that other one decided to just waltz on out of my brain, asking your child, hey, if they look or seem frustrated, ask what's wrong, or like in a calming voice. Because I know for some of us, if we are frustrated, we might get a little too upset really quick. So in a more like calming demeanor,
Mhm.
instead of like, why can't you tell me what's wrong? Or in a kind of a voice like that, because that could trigger like a fight or flight response because
Yeah.
like of all the anxiousness from how we're feeling.
Mm. Looking for some new toys and tools that your ADHD kiddos will love? Play Therapy Supply has you covered with a great selection of toys, games, and fidgets that can be used by ADHD children, their parents, caregivers, and professionals alike. From fidget toys that help children calm down, de stress, and focus, to social emotional learning resources to help kids understand their feelings and emotions, to games and activities designed to improve emotional regulation. Play Therapy Supply has it all. For thousands of items and fast and free shipping, visit playtherapysupply.com today. So, I don't want to skip over the fact that you said that friendships can be hard. And I
Hmm.
know that a lot of kids on the spectrum struggle with that.
Hmm.
So, other than giving advice, some awareness first of, hey, I
Hmm.
struggle with this, what else do you believe that we could put in place to support kids that are building friendships?
I think a really great first step, and I actually bring this up to kids when I speak at schools. I tell them, because for some of us, we have difficulties starting conversations. So even if it's just like a simple hello, how are you kind of thing, that would be totally fine. And I bring that up because I didn't get to experience that a whole lot as a kid. And because I have difficulty trying to figure out how to conversation, I just stay quiet unless somebody comes up to me. And another good way would be if they're not, if they don't know what to talk about, if somebody were to approach me, they can say, hey, how you doing? Um, they want to get to know us better, asking what our favorite subject is. And by
Mhm.
doing that, we won't stop talking.
Yeah.
And it will help us feel a little more comfortable.
I'm going to use that next time my son is feeling a little shy. I'm going to say, what about if you ask them what their favorite thing is and get the
Yeah.
ball rolling that way? Thank you for that. It's very helpful.
Now, I will tell you this, it may take a little bit of time.
Mm.
It may take, because it's like either we're overwhelmed from the day or like if we were really tired, sometimes we don't really want to talk yet, and that's totally okay too.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is totally okay too. So, Martin, you are a
Mhm.
very busy guy. Would you
Mhm.
mind telling everyone, our listeners, what Spire Autism is?
Definitely. So, a little quick backstory. Me and my mom decided to start this company after seeing on the news, like, you know, teacher gets recorded dragging autistic student out of the class, or, just recently another one where they were physically aggressive. And it's like, I was upset. Like, it took me a while to calm down. And then I thought to myself, something needs to be done. And when she said, what, if I remember right, my mom asked, what do you, or what should we do about it? And I was like, I need to start a company. And so what my company does is train teachers how to teach kids with disabilities during the school day. And then I also train first responders how to approach us during an emergency situation because it is vital, especially like if some of us have difficulty with bright lights or loud sirens. Oh boy, for some, it gets a little too overwhelming.
Yeah. That is amazing. I think both of those are so, so needed. And I'm so proud of you for seeing the need and taking action because so many of
Yeah,
us see it and don't do it. We want to,
yeah,
but we get
yeah,
sidetracked.
yeah.
So I know you have 11 events coming up soon. Do you mind telling the listeners which ones they can participate in?
Absolutely. So I'm going to be participating in two conferences that are going to be coming up, and one of them, or actually both of them, you have the option of either attending in person or in or online, and it's called the U.S. Autism Show Hawaii,
Mm.
and it's the first one here in the United States. And with the with the I'll actually send you the ticket link that you could post. It gives the listeners an option to attend virtually, or if you have any in person, then they get the option to purchase as well. And I'm this is something that we tried to do last year, but it got a little tricky because it was right around the time during the election. I was like, yeah, no, I don't think it'll be a good idea having a conference around that time. And so after consideration, we're like, April is Autism Acceptance Month, and so I think this will be the right time to do that. And so,
Very
yeah,
nice.
it's the very first one. Little little nervous about it, and because this is my first ever conference that I'm going to be hosting with my podcast co-host, and the next one is a 2-day conference called the International Autism Summit hosted by a podcaster, Sarah Bradford. Shout out to Sarah, also known as SJ Childs, and that's featuring autistic speakers from around the globe. It's a virtual only event, and it's their second annual, but we got speakers from the Middle East that'll be speaking. We got people from France and Europe all the way to here in the US.
Very cool.
Yeah. There actually is, I completely forgot about this one. It's a virtual conference called Autism with DJ. That one is April 26th. So I'm going to be busy speaking. I have that 26th, it's both the Autism Summit and the Autism with DJ conference. Both of those will be online. I can't believe I forgot to mention that earlier.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you remembered and shared it now.
Yeah,
We will definitely link all of those in the show notes, as well as a link to your podcast if you would like.
definitely. It's we're currently on the second season, and it's called the Neurodiverse Support Pod, or ND
Ooh.
Support Pod for short. And it's we've had some pretty good speakers that joined last season, but yeah, I'll have to share my socials as well. I mean, I for any of the listeners don't who probably don't follow a lot of people with disabilities on social media, I think it would be a good time to. And I say that because with like for me, when I post in my social media, people get to see a side of me that I may never see, like when I'm in person or like when I'm with others. So kind
Mm,
of sharing our true self that others
yeah,
probably won't be able to see as much.
very cool.
Yeah.
So I have ADHD
Hmm.
myself, and there was one question that I skipped over in the beginning,
Hmm.
and you said you were in
Hmm.
school. Do you mind sharing what you're in school for?
Yes, I am in school to be a speech pathologist.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so needed. There is a nationwide shortage. You will be so needed and probably overworked very soon.
Yeah. I've got about 3 semesters left, and I'm doing this because I was nonverbal my first 4 years of my life. So I kind of want to give back what I received as a kid.
Mm,
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah. It's definitely needed and really want to help others that were like me when I was younger.
Yeah. Martin, I love your heart. I thank you so much for waking up early to
Yeah.
do this with me. And I know that you wanted to close out with a poem that you have written for our listeners, so
Yeah.
I will leave the floor to you.
It is a tiny bit, but
That's okay.
backstory, this is kind of funny. This was a homework assignment that I did. Um, Boy, it took a toll out of me because I actually shared this poem in front of my class. And boy, to talk about like nervousness, not knowing what people will think. But so it's called I Am. Man, it always gets a little, but I could do this. I can do this.
I believe in you.
I am a warrior for change, unique in every way, battling quiet struggles and loud wars every day. My body, marked by stress, tells a story, a testament of strength in all I say and do. I wonder how many trials must test my weary soul in a world that judges scars as if they were a toll. Yet I hear soft whispers of hope for every child and see eyes lifted upward where dreams run wild. I see the weight of prejudice on every tender face, parents fighting silent battles, and a world that won't erase the doubts that hurt and linger when judgment comes too fast. Still together we rise, united, unsurpassed. I want to guide the lost so no one fights alone. Our differences unite us in the strength we've known. I'm a warrior for change. My disability is not a flaw, but a symbol of resilience, defiant in what I saw. I pretend to wear the armor, though sometimes I feel the strain. Exhaustion weighs me down, yet hope runs through my vein. I touch hearts with gentle grace, a beacon in the night. I worry for a world still blind to our inherent right. I cry silent tears in the darkness so no one sees me cry. Each droplet tells a story of the strength we all contain. God will help us get through it. Just reach out and pray. I am a light that will not be confined. I say, let no one dim your light. Let your true self shine. I dream of days when labels fade and every soul is embraced, when disability is honored as a beauty interlaced. I try to hold on to hope, though sometimes my strength feels weak. I trust you'll all see the power in the battles that we seek. I am a warrior for change. Through struggles soft or loud, forever proud of every mark that makes us different, bold, and unbound.
Oh, Martin, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for
I
sharing that.
appreciate it. That was boy, my brain was trying so hard to stay focused there. There was a couple words that I feel like I missed, but no, I just feel like if that that's one thing about me is I write things like that so people know like this is something that people with disabilities go through, but it's like I want people to know like, it's okay to share your story
Mm,
and that, you know, at the right time when you're ready to share, go for it. People will listen.
mm,
And it's it gets hard seeing others. struggle, and I step out of my comfort zone almost daily to really help those that need it.
Hmm. Very courageous.
Yeah.
Martin, this has been one of my favorite interviews.
Thank
I love
you.
your passion and your heart. And I want to know if you don't mind sharing, did you get an A on your report with that poem?
I better double check on my I think I did. I just did not remember because my any boy, I don't yeesh. I hope I did because that was not easy. And I even shared about autism in front of the class, and that was like that
Mm,
was difficult. I mean, I it's easier for me to talk to others at a conference, but when it's at a school, it's like, nope,
yeah,
my whole
yeah,
confidence just goes,
yeah. I think public speaking for most is very scary territory, especially for me.
yeah. But you know what? Everything's been going well so far. Every received some incredible feedback, and I'm excited that I do these things because I really am ready to help parents and others like me to help them know that, you can do anything that you dream of, and with the right support. That's what I should have brought up. My brain is now like finally connecting everything. It's for those who see that maybe they don't feel like they're being supported. It's you have a wonderful support system whether you see it or not. Yeah.
I love that. Sometimes we have to go out and find our people, and I love that you're stepping into that role.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's definitely something I never thought in my early years that I would do. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think I'd
Yeah.
do stuff like this.
Well, we are honored to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you again for having me on. And I know it took a little bit for for me to get on. There was somebody from another podcast that sent me an email, and my brain was like, oh shoot, did I miss it again? Or like, did I miss it? And it's like, nope, it was somebody different. So honestly, I'm glad we were able to get this, and the caffeine kicked in at the right time. Yeah.
You are okay. No worries about missing any interviews. I knew when starting a neurodivergent podcast, it would never be linear, so I expect all of the chaos.
I really love the name too, Chaos and Caffeine. That is me in a nutshell, basically.
Me too. Well, Martin, I will talk your head off all day, but I know you are a very busy man, so I want to say thank you again for getting up so early and
Yeah.
meeting with us
Thank you
today.
for having me on. And for all the listeners watching, thank you for tuning in. I I truly appreciate it. And you all picked a good podcast to listen to. And listening to some of your podcasts is like, you got something really great going on with this podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
Uh,
That means a
all
lot.
right. Take care, all, and feel free to reach out to me on my socials. Feel free to follow me, and stay tuned for some exciting things that are going to be happening soon. All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Well, dang. If your heart isn't full and your perspective forever shifted, were you even listening? Martin didn't just join us today, he cracked wide open the kind of raw truth and resilient hope that parents of neurodivergent kiddos desperately need. He reminded me that our children's futures aren't limited by their diagnoses, but expanded by the way we choose to see, support, and advocate for them. Whether you're still processing your child's recent diagnosis in the thick of school meetings and therapy appointments, or just trying to survive another meltdown in the middle of Target, Martin's story is a dang lighthouse in the storm. His voice is proof that our kids can grow into powerful, self self-aware, compassionate adults because of their differences, not in spite of them. So to every tired, unsure, caffeine-fueled parent out there, you're not screwing this up. You're building something. And when you feel like giving up, rewind this episode and let Martin remind you what's possible. Martin, thank you from the bottom of my overstimulated mom of an ADHD kid heart. Thank you for being exactly who you are and for showing up with so much honesty and grace. You truly are my favorite guest interview on this podcast to date. And to everyone listening, make sure to check out Martin's work at Spire Autism and grab a copy of Chatterbox. Follow him, support him, and let his story fuel your parenting journey with a little more faith and a whole lot more fight. Until next time, keep embracing the chaos, keep sipping caffeine, and keep showing up for your babies like the badass advocate you are. You've got this.